What's up, everybody? And we are back with another sort of messing around, tinkering some more with these things again. So recently I bought a Torq servo here. This is for, these are the direct mount. They're mountless servos. So like here's the stock servo that I have. You can kind of see it's got a little mount on the bottom of it, and then the servo mounts on top of the mount. So the mount goes on the axle, servo goes on the mount. These sort of mountless servos, instead of having to have this additional plate bolted to it, they basically machine these mounts into the servo body. So the servo body itself is the mount. It's really super cool. It makes for a nice, good, rigid mount. It also moves the servo lower and a little bit more forward, which is obviously always beneficial. If you can get whatever weight you have more forward and down, it's going to be a benefit. So that works, and I got it installed, and it's a very, as the name would imply, it's a very torquey servo. But the problem with it is when it moved it down and forward is that the steering links that I had, they're Hobby Plus, so they're the aftermarket links, but the steering links that I had, they would bind up real bad, and so it wouldn't get full lock. I would go one direction real far, and then the other direction it would only go, I don't know, maybe 70%. And so I tried a couple different combinations of putting the, the thing in front, the thing in back, and it would either bind, it would either hit on itself, or it would bind, at the joints. So knowing how things are these days with RC cars and all of this other stuff, I went to my son, my older son, and he has a 3D printer. And so I told him, I said, here's the stock link. I need a link that's different. Basically, I need the same sort of dimensions. I just need it to be 11 millimeters pushed out more. And so he came up with this little link here, and I'll show you some of the pictures of them there. And that one worked really well. We put it on, and it fixed the problem. So then he made, the other thing that we ran into, however, was that I have these rock lights, these Endura rock lights on the front of my rig for when I go around at night in the backyard. Problem is that steering link, when it would get up there, it would hit that light and it would block it. So then he made a version 2, which has a nice little bend to it, and that's the one that we're going to put on here right now, and we're going to see how this works. Now these are kind of just rough, just to make sure that things fit and they work and whatnot. And so if this one fits well, then we can kind of clean it up a little bit, make a little bit nicer one. Okay, so I'm looking at this version 2 arm, and it's much, much better. This is super cool. This is pretty exciting, because I'm usually helping my son with his car and getting it fixed and doing all that other stuff, but today he's helping me fix my car with his, expertise and what he knows how to do. So he made me this other version of this arm, and it is awesome. Let's see if we can get kind of up in there. It's a little hard to see, but it's got a nice bend to it. Let's see if we can go this way so you can kind of see how it lays out there. And I'm looking at it, and it's perfect because the rock light, when it's fully compressed, you can see the rock light's good. And, oh, no way. Look at that little stinker. Even at full lock, you can still see the light still shines out. Oh, and it just barely clears the servo. Underneath on the servo there, it just barely clears it. I think the only sort of thing is it just kisses the bottom link there when it does it. This is super cool. Let me, I got a battery charging. I'm going to throw a battery in here, and then we'll mess with it a little bit more and see how it turns with with everything turned on. Let's see what we got. All right, we have success. This thing works, and it's very torquey. It lives up to its name. So let's take a look at it. Let's see if we can get this to focus up in here. That's fantastic. I'm really excited about this because I got this servo and I was all excited, slap it in there, get it to go, and there's nothing worse than it's like, oh man, this brand new super fancy part doesn't quite work. It's not that it doesn't work, it just doesn't quite work. So you start throwing a bunch of different parts together from different manufacturers, and you may have to make custom stuff. So that's why I like tinkering. This is fun. All right, let me turn all this off, get the body back on, and then we'll go outside and we'll see what she does. There it is. There it is. Haha. Oh, I'm kind of stuck where I want to go here. Oh, yep. All right, well, we just came back inside from farting around out there on the little paver area, and this thing worked really well. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. It gave me full steering, lock to lock. It's a torquey little servo, which is awesome. It definitely, you know, lives up to its name, and has a lot of torque and a lot of movement. I'm also really excited that the lights are still super functional because of that bend, which is very cool. It's probably going to blind out the camera, but I like that it's there. Even when they're all the way up, the lights are still shining. So that is very cool. I'm excited about that. Um, but overall, this is really just sort of a proud dad moment because like I said, I'm usually helping my son fix his cars in real life. And I got to a point where I was kind of bummed. I bought a fancy new servo and like some of these parts didn't work. And I'm like, now what do I do? And he came through and saved the day. And it was pretty fun watching him, you know, take this little piece and, you know, measure this and measure that and measuring the insides and how thick it is and all of that. And then like putting it in whatever software and adjusting it, and it's pretty cool. So this was a fun project, and best of all, it actually works. It works really well. So now I can run this thing exactly as it is with this super cool servo, and I get the full steering. My lights still are unobstructed. It works out exactly like I wanted it to. So this is super cool. This is why I like RC. This is why it's fun to tinker. And like I said, my older son Michael, I'm very proud of him for this. This is the kind of fun stuff he likes doing, and this is kind of fun stuff I like doing. So our little worlds collided. That was very awesome. So thanks for calling with me. I'm glad this project worked out as well as it did.